Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Today we are going to continue with our lesson on evaluative commentary. For step 1, as you have already known, you were required to find an argumentative article. So the next step is called as identify, in which you need to start identifying the overview of the article, the main ideas, the supporting details, so on and so forth. Okay, so for this step, first of all, you need to read the whole article carefully and understand it thoroughly. So you need to read from the start until the end in order to really understand what the whole article is talking about. Okay, so next you need to read it one more time. Okay, after you have understood, you need to read the article one more time. And this time around, you need to identify a few things. Those things are, the first one, overview, author's tones, author's viewpoint, that is thesis statement, the main points, which is the topic sentences, supporting details, which is the elaboration, and also the evidence. Now let's look at one by one. Let's look at the overview first of all. Okay, what is overview? Overview is a general and brief review of the article. Okay, a general and brief review of the article, which includes three things. It's the title of the article, the name of the author, and some rough statement on what the article is about. Okay, the title, the name of the author, and basically the rough idea of what the article is about. For example, the article "Books Are Better Than Movies," written by Emily Ginter, talk about the reasons she prefers books over the movie adaptations. So based on this example, you can see there is the title of article, "Books Are Better Than Movies," and then there's the name of the author, Emily Ginter, and roughly the idea of what the article is about, which is the reasons she prefers books over the movie adaptations. Okay, so if the author's name is not present, okay, if there's no author's name on the article, you can state which website page the article was published on. For example, the article "Books Are Better Than Movies," published on Odyssey, talked about the reason why she prefers book over the movie adaptations. Next one is author's tones. Author's tones is referring to what feeling the author wants to show in the article. Okay, the feeling that the author wants to show in the article and the author's attitude towards the topic. Okay, so tones are usually described in adjectives, in descriptive words. Okay, it can be positive, it can be negative, or it can be neutral or unbiased. So tones are very important because if you misinterpret the tone, you would misinterpret the message. This usually happens in real life. Sometimes when we speak with a certain tone, even though we didn't mean it, but it was interpreted that way by the person who listened to us. Okay, so it is very crucial for you to be able to interpret the right tone that the author is trying to show to you. Now, one good tip in order for you to be able to figure out the right tone that the author is trying to show to you is when you read a certain article, now try to ask yourself or imagine what the author's voice would sound like if he or she had spoken the words rather than written them. Okay, how would she sound like if she had spoken the words instead of writing them? Okay, so as if the author is talking to you instead of writing to you. So try to imagine that. Okay, now example of tones include what's given here. Some, for example, critical, humorous, serious, neutral, optimistic, sarcastic, so on and so forth. So the tones are not limited to what's given here, okay? It's almost like everything under the sun. It can be anything under the sun, but usually tones, as mentioned earlier, are described using adjectives. So I need you to watch these two videos, and then you need to try to figure out the different tones that are shown between the two videos. These videos are actually the trailers from the Disney's movie Tangled, but they were presented in a totally different way. So you need to watch them, and then I need you to figure out the tones. So when you try to figure out the tones, try to use adjectives to describe the tone. Okay, now when you read an article, sometimes the author can have conflicting tones or different kind of tones in one article. Okay, so you can try to identify the conflicting tones, but be sure to get them right. For example, the author's tone is judgmental but hopeful. So see, judgmental is negative, but hopeful is positive. So the author can have conflicting tones, okay, in one article. That is possible to happen. Okay, let's try to figure out the tones from a paragraph. Okay, so I need you to read the following paragraph and then you need to answer the following questions. The first one, is the tone of the passage positive, negative, or neutral? Okay, try to figure that out. Positive, negative, or neutral? Okay, next question. What is the author's attitude? What is the author's attitude or tones toward the homeless man? What is the author's attitude towards the homeless man? The third one is, what are the words or phrases that give you the clue to the tones? What gives you the idea that the author's attitude is so on and so forth? Okay, so you need to answer these three questions. Donovan and Larry were early for baseball practice. They decided to run up and down the bleachers to exercise before the rest of the team arrived. Larry was first to the top. He whispered to Donovan, "Look over there." He pointed to a man sleeping on the highest narrow bench of the bleachers. His pants and shirt were faded, worn, and too large for his thin frame. One big toe stuck out of a huge hole in his sock. His scraped-up shoes sat a few feet away. Donovan whispered, "We should help him out. Let's hide something good in his shoes. Then, when he wakes up, he will have a nice surprise." Larry smiled. He enjoyed giving to others. Okay, so remember the three questions that you need to answer just now. The first one is the tone of the passage positive, negative, or neutral? Positive, negative, or neutral? The answer is positive. Okay, the whole passage sounds positive. The second question, what is the author's attitude towards the homeless man? What is the author's attitude towards the homeless man? In other words, what feeling does the author try to show towards the homeless man? The answer could be sympathetic, it could be kind, it could be generous, okay, something like that. So something positive, but something showing sympathetic feeling towards the homeless man. Okay, the third question. What are the words or the key words or the phrases that gives you clue that the tone of the passage is positive and the author's attitude towards the homeless man is sympathetic, kind, or generous? What are the clues that give you the idea, that kind of idea? What kind of words they give you the clue? It could be his pants and shirt were faded, worn, and too large for his thin frame. Okay, it could be one big toe stuck out of huge hole in his sock. It could be, we should help him out. Okay, so these are the phrases that give you clue. Oh, this is the tone or the attitude or the feeling that the author is trying to show to us. You can go through the answers for the questions here. Okay, so basically that is how you try to figure out the author's tone. Okay, so you read the article, you understand the article, and then you try to figure out, is it positive, is it negative, is it neutral? And then try to figure out the author's attitude towards a particular topic, okay, towards a topic. And then you try to figure out, so in order to figure out the tones, you need to be able to identify the words or the phrases or the sentences that give you the clue that the tone is such and such. Okay, next one, let's try to figure out the author's viewpoint. The author's viewpoint. Now, author's viewpoint is referring to what the author's position or stance on an issue. The author's position or stance on an issue. What is the author's opinion or belief regarding an issue? The author can either be biased towards a side of an issue or unbiased, meaning neutral. Okay, now these are examples of words that you can use when writing your evaluative commentary in order to illustrate the author's viewpoint, which side the author is on. Okay, so let's say the author shows agreement. You can say the author's advocate, author agrees, the author proposes, the author supports, the author's favors for. Okay, if let's say the authors disagree with a certain topic, you can say the authors disapproves, he disagrees, she opposes, he objects, she favors against. Okay, or if let's say the authors is unbiased, okay, there's no stance, definite stance, so you can say the authors is neutral, the authors is objective, or the author is impartial. But I did mention to you previously that I strongly preferred that when you find an article, it's supposed to have the author's viewpoint really clearly, meaning to say I do not prefer the authors to be impartial, okay, or neutral, because it's going to be really difficult for you to write the evaluative commentary if the writer is impartial. Okay, all right, the author's viewpoint works as a thesis statement. Okay, so you're in your evaluative commentary, the author's viewpoint works as the thesis statement of your essay. Okay, so remember what thesis statement is? Thesis statement is the main idea of the whole essay. So the author's viewpoint works as the thesis statement of your whole essay. Now remember the formula of writing thesis statement. You need to have topic, controlling idea, and predictor. If you have forgotten about this, please go back to the slides on thesis statement. Yeah. So remember the shape of the glass. Okay. So at the top is the topic, meaning to say it's more general. Controlling idea is the middle one of the class, okay, which is more specific. And then the predictor is the bottom part of the glass, which is the most specific points. Okay, now let's try to read the following paragraph and try to identify the author's viewpoint or stance or opinion. Clothes are a source of expression for children, and as they get older, they become more resentful of uniform. By having a uniform policy, schools are taking away these children's individuality. Schools need to decide if the uniform policy is really worth the result. Okay, now let's try to figure out the thesis statement or the author's viewpoint in this particular paragraph. Now, what is the topic? What is this particular paragraph about? It's about school uniform, right? So you know that the topic is school uniform. Okay, now what about the school uniform that the author is trying to tell you? Now, in order to figure that out, you need to decide whether the author is against school uniform or the author supports school uniform. Which one is it? The author is against, right? The author disapproves school uniform. The author disagrees with school uniform. Okay, so you can see that that is the controlling idea. The reasons why the author disagrees or disapproves with school uniform. Now, what are the main reasons? What are the reasons that is given here? What are the explanations that are given here that show that the author is against school uniform? The first one is school uniform make children become more resentful of them. Okay, and the second one is schools are taking away the children's individuality. Okay, as you can see here, okay, these are the answers to the author's viewpoint. As you can see, the topic is school uniform. Okay, that is the more general idea. Now, what about school uniform that the author wants to talk about? The author wants to talk about the reasons why he or she favors against or disapprove or disagrees. Okay, now what are the reasons? The first one is, that is the predictor, yeah? The first predictor is children feeling resentful of uniforms. And the second predictor is the uniforms take away the children's individuality. Okay, so there are two predictors, and as you already know, when there are two predictors, meaning to say the first body paragraph should be about children feeling resentful of uniforms, and the second body paragraph should be about uniforms taking away the children's individuality. Okay, so there's another form of thesis statement or author's viewpoint. The two main reasons the author disagrees the school uniforms are they make children feel resentful and they take away the children's individuality. Okay, so basically these two are just the same, only the difference is the sentence structure. Okay, we're done with the overview of the article, we're done with the author's tone, and we're done with the author's viewpoint. So these three things are actually in one paragraph, which is the introduction. That is the introduction of your evaluative commentary. So now we are going to start looking at the body paragraph. Okay, the body paragraph. Now the next one you need to identify is the main ideas and the supporting details of the article. Okay, what are main ideas? Main ideas is referring to the most important points of an article, what the writer wants you to know. So main ideas are more general, okay? And supporting details is the elaboration that is supporting and developing that particular main idea, such as the examples, the explanations, so on and so forth. So for supporting details, it is more specific, okay? Now, there are two types of main idea. The first one is topic sentence. The second one is implied main idea. Now, we have already learned what topic sentence actually is. Topic sentence is that one statement from a paragraph that explains what the paragraph is all about. Okay, it's the main idea of a particular paragraph. Now, for topic sentence, usually in an article, okay, it is clearly stated, meaning you know that that particular sentence or the particular statement is topic sentence, usually in article, yeah? It is already given to you. Topic sentence is already given to you in the article. It is clearly stated, it is obvious that this is topic sentence. You only need to spot that particular sentence. The topic sentence is already given to you, okay, in the paragraph, and you only need to spot the statement. Now let's try to identify the topic sentence and the supporting details or the elaboration in the following paragraph. Some people prefer books since it allows them to know what the characters think or feel. In movies, you're left to grasp the feeling and thoughts of the characters on your own through verbal and nonverbal cues. In contrast, when reading books, the thoughts are told clearly. It's like you are literally reading someone's mind. Okay, so remember the topic sentence just now. Okay, it's like a statement or a phrase in the paragraph that gives you the idea of what the whole paragraph is about. So you only need to spot it. You only need to guess which statement that is. So in this particular paragraph, which one is the topic sentence? Remember, topic sentence is the general idea of the whole paragraph. The answer is some people prefer books since it allows them to know what the characters think or feel. Okay, so that is the topic sentence. Now, what is the elaboration to that main idea, to that topic sentence? What is the explanation to that? The explanation is like you are left to grasp the feelings or thoughts of the characters on your own in the movies. But when reading books, the thoughts of the characters are told clearly to you. So those are the elaboration. So here is the answer. As you can see, the main ideas and the supporting details. Okay, the topic sentence is such and such. So when you write your topic sentence for your evaluative commentary, remember the formula. You need to have topic plus predictor. Okay, so the predictor, now you know that the book allow people to know what the characters think or feel. So when you write your topic sentence, you write something like, firstly, okay, the reason why some people prefer books is they allow them to know what the characters think or feel. So that is one body paragraph. Okay, so what about the elaboration? So the elaboration is movies, you're left to grasp the feeling, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So remember, did you remember when I asked you to find the argumentative article? I actually said to you the tips, okay? The tips and tricks is you can find an article that has clear subtopic. I mean, number one, what? Number two, what? Number three, what? Why? Why did I say that? Why did I say that? Because it's to make your work much easier. So because they have that subtopic, you can spot it right away. Oh, this is actually the predictor. So this should be in topic sentence. So it's easier for you to identify the main ideas. Okay, the next type of main idea is called implied main idea. Okay, it is totally the opposite of topic sentence. Remember topic sentence just now? It is already clearly stated in the passage, and what you need to do is you only need to figure out and find which the topic sentence is in that particular paragraph or passage. But for implied main idea, it is not clearly stated. It is not in the form of this whole statement, this whole topic, this whole sentence as the main idea. You need to look for it. You are left to figure out the main idea on your own. Okay, so implied main idea is basically a conclusion or a summary of the important points in a paragraph. So you need to be able to conclude and summarize the important points in that paragraph on your own. Now let's try to identify the implied main idea and supporting details in the following paragraph. Anyone who has been to cinemas lately can tell that the ticket price is eye-watering. You still have to add to it the cost of food, drinks, and also transportation. However, that is not the case for books. You can just borrow them from friends or libraries. New books are still a bargain too. That's why some people prefer books more. So as you can see in this particular paragraph, comparison is made between going to the cinemas, okay, buying tickets for cinemas, and also reading a particular story from books. Okay, so what is the conclusion or the summary that you can try to make from this particular paragraph? What is the author trying to tell you actually? What about books? What about books? He's trying to tell you that books are better than watching movies in cinemas because it is cheap, because it's not costly, because it is inexpensive. Okay, how do you know that books are cheap and books are inexpensive? That is the supporting details. What is the supporting details that support that idea that books are cheap? The supporting details are you can just borrow them from friends and libraries. Okay, new books are bargain. When you go to cinemas, you have to pay for the cost of food, drinks, and transportation, so on and so forth. Okay, so as you can see, the answer for the implied main idea, some people prefer books more because they are not costly, or because they are cheap, or because they are inexpensive. The supporting details that support the main idea just now is the ticket price is eye-watering and still have to add into the cost, and then you can borrow books from friends or libraries. So see, there are two types of main ideas. One is topic sentence, in which you can just figure out or spot it in the paragraph. And there's also implied main idea, in which it's not stated clearly. So you have to try to conclude or try to summarize the important points in order to get that main idea. Okay, now let's try to identify the evidence. So this is the last part of today's lesson here. The evidence is referring to the supporting details that support main ideas, but in the form of quotation of expert opinion, statistic report, research findings, so on and so forth. Okay, I think you are quite familiar with this. So when you talk about evidence, it is some sort of quotation, it's some sort of citation, it's some sort of report of findings or result of the research Okay, example of research findings. Okay, this is a type of evidence. According to a study by Morrison University, 236 respondents agreed that most movies adaptations are inferior to their original counterparts. So that is an example of research. Now, there is also another type of evidence, okay, quotation. So example of quotation, Charles Jim, who is a prominent columnist, said that in movies, a lot of times brilliantly developed characters fail to impress because of the actor's inability to perform the role. Okay, so quotation is simply what a specific people said about something. So the author is simply reporting back or quoting what other people said. Okay, so that is quotation. Okay, the author report back or simply quoting what other people said. So it is usually comes in the form of quotation marks, so quote unquote. Okay, so that is to show the quotation, what other people said about something. Okay. Now, sometimes in an article, its evidence is placed here and there throughout and not even near to where the main idea is. Sometimes it's like that. Okay, because we have argumentative article that is not college essay, that is not English essay. We simply take it from authentic sources. So sometimes the evidence is here and there. The quotation is here. The research, the result of the research is over there. So see, it's not, sometimes it's not even near to where the main idea is. So you need to be sure to read the article thoroughly. Okay. So that's all for the lesson of today. We have gone through the step 2 of writing evaluative commentary essay. We have figured out on how to try to identify the overview of the article, the author's tones, the author's viewpoint. So these make up the introduction, the first paragraph of your evaluative commentary. And then we also try to figure out the main ideas and the supporting details and the evidence. So these make up the body paragraph, paragraph 2, and also paragraph 3 of your evaluative commentary.